Hello, everybody. Sorry, I was distracted. I was putting on my Do Not Disturb, which I forgot to do. Welcome to another conversation on mental health. We are wrapping out this month. We've got a conversation today, and then we'll kind of wrap it up next week on the 31st. But we've had so many great conversations about mental health, different angles that companies should be considering when talking about mental health, how to talk to employees, how to talk to managers, how the HR teams themselves can kind of help themselves out. And today we have another good conversation waiting for us. Happy to introduce you all to Paxton Gray, who's CEO at 97th Floor. They're a marketing agency here in Salt Lake area, in the Utah area. And they've done a fabulous job. One of the best companies I actually know, who has employees who just absolutely love working for them. And so we're going to talk about how they, in particular, show so much value to their employees. And it should be a great conversation. Paxton, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're excited to have you here.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
So before we get started, I've got just a couple icebreaker questions just to kind of get a feel for you and let the audience know a little bit more about you. So I've got 3 or 4 that I'll run through here today. The first one is, do you charge your social battery by being alone or in a crowd?
Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of weird on this one. I love being surrounded by a lot of people.
Okay.
But with the caveat of a lot of people who don't know me and don't talk to me. Like I love to work at a packed Starbucks, just like full of like hustle and bustle, but no one's going to interrupt me or like try to engage with me. That's my perfect situation.
I can totally relate to that. I'm very much the same way. In fact, we were talking about that with somebody else who just was like, I just want to be around people, but not talk to anybody. And I get that totally. I know you are infamous at work for your book clubs. Are you a fiction or a nonfiction reader, like outside of your work book clubs?
Almost exclusively nonfiction.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I probably in the past 10 years maybe read 3 fiction books.
Wow. Okay.
But that said, I think fiction is great. I mean, it's such a great vehicle for illustrating ideas and philosophy. And
okay. You don't have to justify why you don't read.
I just want to make sure I'm not hating on fiction. I just don't consume it a lot.
But nobody's judging you here for reading nonfiction only. All right. When you are stressed, what is your go-to food of choice?
Oh man, Slurpees.
7-Eleven Slurpees.
7-Eleven Slurpees. Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Drink. Yeah.
Okay, I love it. And since I asked you the nonfiction fiction reader, if you've been following along, there's this question that we follow up with, and there's been a correlation between the answers of which kind of books you read versus what answer you're going to select here. So we're going to see if you stay true to the theories here. If you had the ability to speak every language or speak to animals, choose one of those superhuman powers. Which one are you going to pick?
Every language.
Okay. Yeah, you're right in line with the nonfiction readers.
Is that how it's been?
It's how it's been
for animals.
Yep. Yeah, I think so. All right. Well, hey, thanks, Paxton, again for joining us. Tell us a little bit about you, a little bit about 97th Floor, and what you guys are doing over there.
Yeah. So we're a 135-person marketing agency. We've been around since 2005, and we specialize in digital marketing exclusively. So we don't do any traditional marketing, but if it's digital and there's a display involved, we're involved in that. So SEO and advertising, content production, social media design, all that good stuff. I personally have been in digital marketing for 15 years now. Started at a company that built and hosted websites. I did tech support for them, setting up their server, that kind of stuff. And then everyone would always ask, like, okay, I have the site. What do I do with it now? So I started to consult them on SEO and advertising and social, and kind of fell into it, which I think most people in digital marketing fell into it at some point.
Right. Yeah.
So,
awesome. Yeah. And I'm a big fan, 97th Floor. I've known you guys for a long, long time. You and I have been on, boards for different nonprofits and communities and whatnot. We've just been in the marketing scene here locally for some time. And I have to admit, like, it's technically a small company, like it's 137 employees. It's pretty large for an agency, but still relatively small company. But I can't tell you a company that I know where past employees, just rave about their time that they have spent and are employed there. Like, you guys have a strong culture within your employee base, which is one of the main reasons why we wanted to have this conversation today, is because I think there's something, I don't want to say like magical. I just feel like you guys are really hitting it when it comes to valuing employees. And that's the topic that we wanted to bring out today, is like, how does a company, especially a small company, which feels like they can't compete against the larger companies with benefits or whatever the case may be, but you guys are out there showing that a small company can have such an impactful culture and have an incredible benefits layout and really make an employee feel valued beyond anything that they get from maybe a larger company. And so, to set the stage for the day's conversation, only 44% of companies with 50 or fewer employees are able to provide retirement and health plans, which is not a lot, right? Like, that's a lot that's not able to kind of provide those. And when you look at small companies and their ability to compete with these larger companies who have just endless amounts of benefits, it feels like it makes it really tough. Talk to us a little bit about like what your philosophy is at 97th Floor. I think it's been this way for a long time, and came from, probably Chris Bennett and the founder over there. But like, what's your philosophy on employee value, and like, how do you value that employee?
Yeah, that's a good question. And yeah, we are large for an agency, but still we have no funding. And so you have these companies that will get, hundreds of millions in funding, and then they don't even have to be profitable to exist for quite a while. And
Right.
to compete with that, like that is very hard on the talent spectrum. So when it comes to benefits, which is just one of many ways to value employees, I have two thoughts on that. One is, I believe there's a certain degree to which, like, benefits, we always evaluate, like, here's this new benefit that we could offer employees. And one test that we run it up against is it more economical for us to offer this to employees, or should we just give them the money for this thing and let them buy it themselves? If it's the same for them, then I don't think it makes sense for us to offer that as a bonus or as an incentive. For example, like a vacation package. We'll give you $1,000 to spend on vacation. Well, why don't we just give them $1,000 and they can spend it however they'd like? I think at a certain point it starts to get almost inappropriate to, like, it's a parent-child relationship. Are you able to hear me? Is that okay?
I cannot hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
You can hear me.
Yep.
You have cut out on my side.
It looks like
I apologize. Let me bounce
okay.
out. I will bounce back in, and then see if that will help there.
Okay.
So give me just a second.
Okay.
All right.
Yes. 1, 2.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I apologize. I had Comcast call. All of a sudden, it just killed my sound on everything.
No, you're good. You're good. Anyway, so what I was saying in terms of benefits, I think as long as if we can get a better deal on something, or it's more economical for us to purchase it and then give it to employees, then that merits it being a benefit. Right. If it's just us giving money to employees with the string attached that they need to spend it in this certain way, I think that's inappropriate. I'd rather just pay them extra and let them choose how to spend it.
Sure. So and you guys, but when it comes to like your benefits and like what you consider benefits, we're talking, you guys have like a laundry list of different ways that you're supporting employees. I mean, you guys have the traditional benefits, health, dental, vision, right? You have HSAs and the 401ks and whatnot. But like beyond that, your list, I had you list out like what you guys provide, and it's massive. Like, you have a work culture. We'll talk about ROWE a little bit because I think that's really fascinating. You guys provide parental leave, both maternal and paternal leave, if I'm not mistaken, right? You do the book clubs, you've got conferences and trainings and certain education allowances that go through that. Like the list just goes on. I think you give everybody Aura rings. Is that right? Do you guys still do that for like health benefits and whatnot? Like the list just goes on and on. And I think the mindset that you have is that like, how can you make the employee I like goes beyond just making them feel valued. It's like, how do you make the employee's life better? And if you can make it better, like you do it, it feels like.
Right. Yeah. So that litmus test is like, is it more economical for us to do it versus them? That's one test that needs to pass. The second is it a Band-Aid? And I think a lot of organizations say, they'll provide benefits that look nice and are fun or whatever, but truly what it is it's Band-Aid to terrible work. And it's like, yeah, the work really stinks. It's not super fun, but we've got a ping pong table, or we do sushis on Fridays, and that's fun, at least we got that. Like those are very like Band-Aid type benefits. For us, like what I think about every single day is our mission, which is to elevate people and brands we believe in. And those aren't just words. Like I think about that every single day. And so the second litmus test is like, is it a Band-Aid to compensate for bad work? If that's the case, let's not do it. And instead, let's improve the work. And does it elevate the people here? Does it help them grow in some way? Does it help them become healthier, more knowledgeable, more talented? Does it progress their career in some capacity? So all of our benefits are designed to, elevate the people that work here.
Right. I should put out as a full disclosure, you are a Nivati customer and your team loves it. They use it like crazy, it feels like. And every time I go out, they come up to me and it's like, oh, we love your tool and your app. And I'm like, that's amazing. Thank you. Yeah. That's one of the benefits that you have, but there is one I want to talk about. And it's not so much a benefit. It's just your philosophy, your work philosophy. And it's this ROWE philosophy that you have, which stands for results only
work environment.
Environment. Results only work environment. Thank you. And talk to me about what ROWE is and how that kind of has changed your culture within the company.
Yeah, so we launched ROWE 6 years ago or somewhere in that ballpark. And effectively what ROWE is it just says, what are people responsible for? Are they responsible? Like, are we paying them for their time or to be in a certain place at a certain time? The answer is no. What we're paying them for are the results. And that's what our clients are paying us for. So this kind of stemmed from, there was a designer years ago that used to come in and he was late every day. And this was back when we had to be here like 9 to 5. And he would show up at like 9:05 or 9:10 or something. And it started to really bug the management team that he was showing up late. And they almost got to the point where they were going to let him go before they finally decided to talk to him about it. And he said, well, I'm late every day because I have to drop my kid off at school. I'm like, what a dumb reason to let somebody go. And then, they started to say, well, the executive team, we can come and go as we please. Why don't we allow that for our employees?
Right.
And so what that's done is it's very much a mindset shift. I look out towards the end of days, especially on Fridays, there's like no one here. I have no idea where they are. But I don't really care where they are because we have all of our systems in place and I can see we are producing results for our clients. Our clients are happy. We retain them. And that's all I care about at the end of the day. And so it actually, while for a lot of people that's scary, there was a huge benefit that we didn't see from it from a management standpoint. We don't have to deal with any vacation requests, any time off requests, no clocking in and clocking out or fixing time cards, none of that stuff. Like, the burden on managers is really relieved, and it forces them to focus on, is this person doing the job or not? And that's all I care about. I don't care about anything else.
So I've talked to a lot of HR leaders who struggled when the pandemic kicked everybody out of the house, or like kicked them out of the office and put them in the house, right? Or wherever they were working from. And I'm assuming you guys did not have that problem because it was already ingrained in your culture, right? The worry has always been with managers on the whole is like, how do I ensure, the employees are actually doing what they need to do. In turn, like I've always kind of flipped that question when I get it. I'm used to having a bit more of a flexible schedule, but it almost is like the real question is how much more do you get from an employee because they feel like they can be trusted,
Right.
in a lot of ways. Like that's the experience that I've had. Can you talk about like what your employees feel when they kind of open into this environment, especially like those that onboard as new employees? Like, what does that trust factor do with the relationship management has with the employees? Like, what have you seen over the 6 years that you've employed this ROWE philosophy?
It creates a big sense of ownership over your job. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, like what you're held accountable for is the results. It doesn't matter how hard you worked or how little you worked or as much, like none of that matters. And so it forces all the employees to focus on truly what matters. And we saw a huge increase in efficiency and huge innovations around efficiency and improving results from employees across the board. Like it became, and no one was asking them for it. Obviously, as soon as we had them only focus on results, we got all these innovations and tools and processes around producing better results. Whereas before, we told them results mattered, but then we measured and paid them based off of their time. And that didn't generate all this idea and innovation and things like that. And so we tend to attract and retain more A-type people who are desirous to take ownership. And it's kind of interesting when we implemented ROWE, there were a small, like 2 or 3 people that quit because they could not. I thought everyone would love this without a doubt, but there were a couple people who were like, they had this safety blanket of, if I don't get results, at least I can show, well, I put in this many hours.
Interesting.
And faults me for that. And as soon as we took that away, that was like they were naked. And I think they would have done great if they had stuck around, but it made them feel so nervous that they just couldn't take that. And so it kind of started to filter that kind of person out of our organization.
Interesting. When an employee feels valued, and ROWE, I think, is just one way that you guys have that in here. You see the employees build trust. You see a raise in productivity. It sounds like you've seen all of this. An increase in morale is another one. There were a couple of people you just mentioned that were nervous about this particular change here and or this benefit to the point that they felt they needed to go elsewhere. But like overall, how has morale been within the company?
Good. It's been really good. I will say COVID was super hard for a lot of people for reasons outside of work, but it also made work just hard, just the mental burden of it all.
Yeah, focus and everything went with it.
Yeah. And I will say with ROWE, given that people can come and go as they please, it requires us to be more intentional and proactive around building morale and keeping that going, because you don't have the natural, well, we're forced to be here. So do you guys want to do a game of pickup basketball, or do you want to go to lunch? Like sometimes that's not here. And so we have to build other systems and think about it more intentionally, which ultimately is a good thing that it's not passive. It's like, we have to focus on this and keep it going.
Right. Mm-hmm. The last element, there's actually 2 other elements, but I think they're kind of combined. And I wanted to talk about this is, first and foremost, there is a lot of benefit when an employee is valued in terms of either recruiting and or retention. And I, just because I know your organization and I've seen it from a distance for some time now, you guys have like a great recruiting process that you guys go through, which we can kind of talk through a little bit about that. But I also know that you have very much encouraged your employees, like not to treat your company like the stepping stone, but you have a lot of employees that have gone on to other big and greater things, and you guys are there to cheer them on all the way through. Like you embrace when somebody is moving on. And I know retention is a big deal, the great resignation and everything like that. And everybody's trying to find, what fits them in this new world that we live in. But you've also embraced the acceptance that people will move on. And then you've kind of created this culture where you have like an alumni channel of sorts that you guys work with. Everybody that I talk to only has amazing things to say about their time that they spent with you. It's your reputation past their employment still lives on in a lot of ways. Can you talk a little bit about what that experience is like?
Yeah, well, again, our mission is to elevate people and brands we believe in. And it doesn't say only as long as they stay here forever. It's
Right.
to elevate people we believe in. And even if you've gone, we still believe in you and we want to elevate you. So we have built out an alumni network where every former employee gets invited to a Slack group, and we'll post, as we hear about jobs, we'll post them there. If people need resources, if they're looking to hire, they use that alumni network. And then once a year, we'll host an event for every former employee of Nicent Floor to come out. And we'll do like Top Golf or something just to reconnect. And we'll have a microphone we'll pass around. Everyone gets to share like what they're working on now and what the update is. And
oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so that's been really fun. But yeah, so I forget your question. What was your question exactly?
So I want to talk about kind of the retention piece, like how easy or difficult, maybe it's still difficult for you with the benefits and all of the stuff that you geared towards making an employee feel valued there. Like, is retention easier for you? Is it harder? The recruiting process and bringing on new talent, like what effects have you seen with all of these benefits that you're bringing in?
Well, again, I don't like to advertise the benefits that we offer.
Sure. And I'm not talking necessarily about, but
well,
everything collectively has created a culture of like a beneficial culture, I would say.
Well, that's leading into my other point of, I don't like to advertise it because I don't want someone coming and working here for those benefits. Like, we may have like video games in the break room. I will never talk about that publicly because I don't want someone who is like, oh, I want to go work there because they have video games in the break room. Like,
sure.
I don't want someone coming to work here because we have great benefits either. What I want them coming here for is because of the work that we do, and they want to do this caliber of work. And I want them to stay for that. I don't want, again, the benefits, I don't want them to be a Band-Aid. I don't want our benefits to attract or to retain talent. If you're not engaged in the work that we're doing, you have to find something else that engages you. I don't want you stuck here because you can't find better benefits elsewhere. The benefits, again, their only purpose in my mind is to elevate the people here and to make them better. And if I can have better people, our whole product is people. It's our service. Right. And so that's what it's designed to do. It's not designed to hold people in. I always say whenever I speak, come hire my people. You're never going to get better marketers. And all that allows me to do is I just want to attract better and better and better talent and take that talent and make them better and better. And hopefully that means they stay here. And we've seen we have this year 3 or 4 employees that are going to be hitting their 10-year mark. And these are people in their early 30s. So that's saying something to stay 10 years. And so, I'll make positions for people because they're excelling and it's a need that we have. I'll make stuff up to keep them here. But the goal is to keep them engaged and to keep them swimming forward, not just holding on to them because selfishly I want them to stay here. So that's my ultimate motivation. I'm not looking for ROI in these benefits. I don't even think about ROI in these benefits. I only think about, is this going to help make them better?
Right. Yeah. I love it. I love that it's been it's core to who you are, your mission statement, right? To elevate people and brands. And you've taken it to that extent. I think one of the key questions, a lot of people have this question, honestly, and you just mentioned ROI, you don't even consider it. It's not in the equation here, but people do consider it, right? And not to say that I want you to give us your ROI on any of this stuff, but what is the value as a company? Walk through what you have seen. What's the benefit that the company has seen because of their initiative to elevate, the people within the company to really value your employees? There are intrinsic benefits that the company has seen. You mind walking us through what those are?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's many. I'd say one of my favorites is ownership and innovation. at every level of Nice Home Floor, there is kind of a feeling of ownership, and people don't feel nervous to break down our processes and build something better, and everyone feels empowered to do that. I get employees coming to me all the time with like ideas of things that we can start and that they are motivated to push forward. And so my job becomes getting out of their way and to enabling them to do that. That's been my favorite thing. And I've always said to employees, like, we will stop on a dime if it makes sense for our people and our customers. And so nothing here is holy, nothing is sacred. Like, destroy the whole thing. If you have something better, like, you're blessed to do that. And so I think helping them feel valued doesn't just mean pay and benefits, but it means like, we trust you, and it means we'll try something that you like, an idea that you have, we'll put some money behind it and we'll test it, and so I think that has been kind of our biggest ROI, I guess, of kind of elevating the people that work here, is that as an agency too, it's super important that we are just cutting edge on everything we do, because if we don't stay ahead of the curve, that's why you hire an agency, honestly. So we have to keep innovating, and honestly, like, having great people who feel empowered to innovate has been one of the best ways to do that.
There has to be an element that just has naturally come from this by providing an environment where somebody is like safe to come forward with ideas, right? Like, sometimes that's not always the case, but I guess when you've shown so much value towards an employee, that employee then feels not only valued, but safe to come forward with ideas that may be radical, maybe, changing. And I'm assuming you have adopted some of these ideas. I mean, you've put money towards some of them, you've tested them out, right? Like, and you showing that willingness to listen allows that innovation to continue forward, I think, within your company.
Yeah, we every 6 months, I'll conduct employee company reviews. I'm not reviewing them, it's them reviewing the company. And so they come with, like, what could we be doing better? What could we be doing better for you? What could we be doing better for our clients? And we just get tons of cool suggestions that come out of this. One that comes to mind based off of reviews that we conducted 7 months ago. So years ago, we pushed forward our parental leave policy, and a lot of people they would do, however many weeks for typically women, and then the fathers would get less. And we felt, well, that's doing a disservice. Like, yes, that's helping our women employees, but in every birth, typically there's another woman in that equation. And if we are saying, well, because you're a man, you only get a week, we are taking that support away from a woman. And so while it's an attempt to support women, we are actually harming some other women in that equation. So we brought it to equal because we felt the desire so we moved everyone to 6 weeks of parental leave. Well, it came out, someone else had some thoughts on this, and they said, well, the desire to have equality, while that's good, they talk through some of the things that a woman has to deal with when giving birth, and that this doesn't address that. 6 weeks is great, and that allows that person to provide a lot of support, but 6 weeks for someone who's given birth is insufficient in terms of recovery. And so we increased that to 12 weeks for the person who's given birth. So it's things like that. And that was like the next day we made this change.
Sure.
And so what it helps with is like broadening perspective and getting insights into the way different people another one is pet insurance. I have no pets. People that talk about their fur babies, I always thought that was silly. But then, like, someone spoke to me about the way they feel about their pet. And it's like, oh, and we've been neglecting that. So let's offer pet insurance. And so we just whipped up pet insurance. So it's been really cool to get like different insights and ways and sometimes they come with an idea that doesn't make sense, but usually it's because they lack some sort of information or context. And then that is a great opportunity for context to be provided, which arms them in the future for even better ideas. And
Right.
so I don't know, that's just part of our culture. We've been doing that for years and years.
I love it. I love that you take that opportunity to listen. I mean, having somebody feel heard and listened to, like, is one of the key ways for them to feel valued, right? In what they're doing, and then to take action on what's being said. It just creates that. Such a great environment and culture. Like I said, everybody I've talked to just loves the fact that they had time to spend with you and 97th Floor and while they were there. Thank you so much. This was great. I loved having this conversation, just learning more. I've always admired what you guys have been doing from a distance, and so it's fun to kind of dive in a little bit.
Well, likewise, I love Nivati. Like, I know this isn't the intention, but honestly, as far as like good companies and companies that like get it, I don't even know if I can say what it is, but I feel like we share a philosophy about people. And I don't know, I've always really liked Nivati and what you guys are doing.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Obviously not what we're here to talk about, but I'm glad you guys love it so much. It's fun when I go and see your employees and they're like, oh yeah, we love what you're doing. And I'm like, yeah, it's great. Thank you. Hey, and everybody who's been watching and watching all month long, thank you for joining us in these key conversations on mental health. We're going to continue the conversation next Tuesday. It's more of like a month wrap up. We've had, I think, 12 of these conversations, or maybe this will be our 12th one that we have on Tuesday. We're going to just kind of recap everything that we've learned over the last month and kind of talk about how we can keep this conversation going beyond just the month of May. Mental Health Awareness Month is really important. It's important that your employees understand what their resources are when it comes to mental health. If you have questions or need answers on what mental health solutions are available, you're welcome to reach out to us at Nivati, Nivati.com, and or reference any of the materials that we've shared. We got a lot of free resources available as well that we can share with you and your employees. Paxton, where can we learn more about 97th Floor and what you guys are doing?
I would sign up for a newsletter, 97th Floor, which you can find at 97thfloor.com. And then follow us on social. If you just search 97th Floor on any platform, we'll be there.
Awesome. Thank you all again. And we look forward to keeping the conversation going. And we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks.